Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to the return of the podcast, the Smileyblue podcast. GMT looks a bit different up in the down in the bottom left there with his long locks. So what I've done is I've assembled two of the biggest egos in the scene, but I've also invited FraZe and Zorak, so they're also here. Press OK. How you doing, man? You doing okay?
I'm great. Happy New Year, everybody.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Hope
to say
everyone's
New
doing
Year.
well.
Yeah. Shit. And also Zorak makes his return, the number one NA jeweler currently after his triumphant win over Ved in the NA finals. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me back.
No problem, man. And obviously FraZe, the fucking forgotten man, he's back. How you doing, dude?
I'm going good. Managed to sneak away from the missus for an hour or so. Yeah, so pretty good actually.
We do as long as you want then in that case if we're helping you out.
Oh yeah.
But
two latches just sit in the room. Give me a bit of a headache.
I can't believe she's not watching. To be honest, gonna miss some good content.
Oh no, she hates games. She's talking about games.
Hopefully the audio levels are all good. While we were chatting beforehand, I was kind of monitoring the levels and shit, but should be all good. So obviously there's not really a whole lot of scripting to do today because the show kind of writes itself. We're going to be talking a lot about Quake Live towards the end, so if there's anyone who wants to reminisce about sort of old Quake Live stuff between Zorak and FraZe, we'll be doing a lot of that. But obviously first on the agenda is going to have to be the announcement of the esports program kind of taking a back seat. I'm quite diplomatic and on the fence about stuff like this because it doesn't really affect me too much. The only thing it's going to affect for me is not being able to watch kind of the best of the best play for top money, but people like Zorak, obviously it's going to change a whole lot. I know the Reddit's been on fire as well about it. Press OK, I'll just start with you briefly because again, you and I, we're kind of just community guys. It doesn't really, we're not playing for money or playing in tournaments or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are your initial thoughts about Too Good's, I'll call it a financial decision to maybe put it on the back burner for a while, at least?
Well, I think the fact that it's a financial decision is good because like that's what will lead the future projects that they were talking about is good financial decisions. So I think and it's kind of two separate arguments. It's like what's the future and what is the state of Diabotical right now. Diabotical is still as fun as it was. Some people might not like the new changes. Changes come and go. They obviously want to make a game that's enjoyable. I think overall, we just got to wait and see what happens. It's like players operate on a different timeline than developers, right? So they want stuff now. They want the patch now and the content now. Stuff takes time, so we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Sorry. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, definitely agree. I think what a lot of people online and in the community are kind of struggling with is kind of separating the game, like Diabotical, the video game, from esports. I can understand why people are struggling with that a bit because we're all obviously esports fans. You know, we all like watching tournaments. A lot of people were playing the tournament, so it is a bit disappointing in that regard. And I didn't really like the way it was announced on the day of a tournament, which was a bit of a bad timing decision. I guess maybe that's one last troll to NA from Too Good. I know he likes to poke fun at other regions other than Europe. Zorak, man, what are your thoughts on it? Obviously, be as honest as you can. What are your thoughts about the thing? Does it make sense financially, do you think, from the outside? You're a bit of a finance guy, or do you think it was a mistake?
Well, I think Too Good makes a lot of good business decisions. I think he's pretty business-minded about the company. I would say, funding team modes at all was a mistake, but, nobody is really taking the team mode seriously. You have, even the best teams in NA, they practice the week before and then just show up at the tournament, take the money, and then leave. So, I mean, it's not what the people want. I would prefer them give it to the area where people the esports are actually more lively and there's more competition. I think Duel has some decent competition, but it's not like commanding the attention of like a lot of good players with its current prize pools and like tournaments. But you have like uh, a lot more duelers and players, and then like the duel tournaments, I feel like people are prepping for them continuously, whereas in the team tournaments, I haven't seen that kind of effort. So I think I'm probably fine with them, like, you know, realizing that people aren't really enjoying the team tournaments. At least this is only NA perspective. I don't know how it is in EU, but I guess that's kind of my feeling on it.
I remember when the game first launched and there was that big rumour about the QPL players not being allowed to play duel, but that's clearly bullshit because Cypher plays in them and Rafa and the Liquid guys play in the team tournaments. It may well have come down to the fact that if the money was allocated to duel primarily, we might have seen some of the top QPL guys come and play Diabotical duel tournaments, you know. It wouldn't even take that much. Cypher is not playing duel on Diabotical like 24/7. He literally plays like a week or so before the event. Maybe he could have won it if he did put a bit more time into it, but obviously I understand it's hard to put time into 2 games, you know, full time if you're dueling. So yeah, it's an interesting point. And the trouble with AFPS is that the modes are like that. Different game modes might as well be different games entirely, right? Like, you're not going to get someone who loves Wipeout loving duel, most likely, you know, as their primary mode. So it's tough. FraZe, obviously, the test tournament series, the test tournament series. I'm going to get my girlfriend in here in a minute as well. The test tournament series obviously doesn't really affect your region too much because you guys, you know, is run by Kawachi Cups, and I know they get given funding. I remember when we spoke a bit on DMs, you were quite excited about the team modes initially because you've been dueling for fucking 10 years on Quake Live. What are your thoughts about the whole thing?
Well, for me, I think the whole purpose of like a game should always be the game's fun to play for all players, right? I feel like with Diabotical, because the way that it was so similar to Quake Live, a lot of the guys who were playing it, you know, for example, you think about us in the team tournament. We won all the team tournaments because we had myself, my brother, and Steve, who was also a good Quake Champions player / Arena FPS player. We'd come up and like what Zorak was touching on, we don't really need to practice that much purely because there was no new players, no new team that's going to be able to catch up to that. So I think the whole purpose of playing for money from the get-go of a game, it shouldn't really be like that because, you know, when you start a new game, it should be about getting new players and new people coming in, get the community, get the game going, get everyone having fun, and then worry about esports. Don't worry about esports to begin with. Don't target the game to be from the beginning to be an esport because you think about all the successful esports, which one of them started as an esport? None of them. Aside like you had like maybe, for example, like you've got like your Dota 2 and stuff, but that's obviously just an expansion upon what was already there for the scene that was already there. So it's like when you think about Counter-Strike, that was originally a game made by 2 guys, right? And a mod of Half-Life or whatever, and it's an esport. Same as Quake. It was originally made so it had a single player, everything, and then the competitive side of that was not really a thing. And then all of a sudden it became an esport. So I think there was a big mistake there from the beginning. Same as Quake Champions. To have this $1 million tournament in Quake Champions when the game was fucking in a putrid state. Like it needed to be, you know, it needed to be ready. Like it needs to be a good, fun game. You've got the community's thriving. Not it's been propped up by money to make people, force people into playing or like coerce them into playing. You should want to play the game because it was fun and you would play for free, which is the way I've always played. So for me, him taking the money out of the game now, it really changes nothing. Like what we were saying off air before it started, yeah, an extra $500 in the pocket feels pretty good, but like, when we're talking about such little amounts of money and the amount of money you're spreading over the entire of the world, you know, it's a fair bit of money when you're adding up hosting all these tournaments. So realistically, what's happened now has really changed nothing. And I think the focus should never really been on duel because new players dueling in that sense. So how long is it going to take a new player to catch up to a level of say, and I'm not even in Quake Live, I wasn't the best player, but you know, to catch up to someone of my ability, it's going to take them 5 years. Like years and years. It's going to take them years. They're never going to get to that level before this game died, and they never were going to. So for them to really try to commit, there's so much money, unless they can see longevity in the game, which was, quite frankly, not really there. Same as Quake Champions. Who's going to play that game for 5 years? There's nothing wrong with it.
It's the genre, obviously, to start with, is a tough one as well. Like AFPS is just not where it used to be, and
That's
you know.
right.
I think they've kind of done it a bit backwards because you make a good point, FraZe. Like a lot of these games like CS, like League of Legends, when you hit the play button, you're playing the esports version of the game, but you're also just playing the actual game mode that the pros are playing. You know, you might be in fucking Bronze League,
That's right.
but you're playing like a uniform thing that everyone's playing, right?
And that's another thing with this is there was so many game modes when it came out that it was like we're even having discussions even now about which one's actually the best for competitive play. So it's like they didn't really have like a true set of what we're actually going to be playing, you know, like a few true direction. So if you had MacGuffin and you wanted MacGuffin to be your main game, which I think it should be because it's the newest game, you know, they've got it's similar to Sacrifice, I guess, in a way, but you've got your own sort of game mode. Everything's unique about that. We might as well have focused on that and have that be the main game mode. So, for example, don't worry about Duel, don't worry about your CA, because the thing is no one wants to, I mean, in Europe and America may be different if you've got the player base, but who wants to search for a duel against guys that you could get like a really terrible player or you could get a really good player? And there's not enough players really to have it so that you've got this pyramid system where you're finding guys at your level. Maybe in Europe it is the case, but so really they should have focused on, I think, potentially started on MacGuffin as your main mode and then from there transfer into other modes and just keep it at a minimum. Maybe MacGuffin, maybe like a Wipeout / Clan Arena type game, and then duel, and then focus on getting those things right. Focus on getting the amount of players right and all the queue mode, the queue times and all that low. Everyone can play the game, and the game would have been somewhat successful because even back at the start of the game, there was actually quite a lot of players, but now it's sort of drifting, you know. So
I think like
hard now, but...
I think like one thing obviously they mentioned in the post is that they're going to be trying to support more kind of smaller like community run events. I don't know if that means with some prize money or if they're going to kind of send mercenary mojo in to like help do some organization or what, but almost like you would think that a lot of games in history kind of start off like that where there isn't some sort of big entity from the dev running the tournaments. It's kind of more organic, and these smaller things, you know, like a Team Conrad or like a Kowachi Cups or like a Get Cracked run their own things, and then maybe like after a year of the game being out and the kind of community feeling out of the game, then you would maybe bring in like a big league or, you know, big developer league. But the trouble is as well, obviously we've got companies like Riot Games now that like obviously their funds are a different world compared to like someone like the Good Studio, but you do get those companies now where maybe the modern sort of way is the tournaments come out right out the gate and they're run by the main devs. So it's tricky, and I mean none of us obviously have all the correct answers, but I kind of hope that like for now, at least the funds are disappearing from the esports in this game are going to come back, you know, and will come back at some point when it's a bit more stable, or when the community kind of uniformly agrees on what they want to play, right? Because Wipeout, MacGuffin, and Extinction, no, there was not one single person. I defy anyone to find one single person that loved all three game modes and thought that they were the correct, you know, mode to play or whatever, but.
Well, it's like when you think about like our tournaments that we're running in Australia, right? You think about the money that they're giving us for that. Now, there's not a lot of competition, but for example, for first prize or something, I can't remember what we won, but it was actually a bit of money. Like it was like $500 each or something like that, which is not bad. But the thing is, if say for example that was only $200 each, would we have still played the tournament? Of course we would. Would the guys below us have played the tournament? Of course they will. So realistically, they needed to cap the money at quite a low amount so that, you know, you can have multiple tournaments. Similar to Quake Champions, where they have this $1 million tournament. That's not sustainable. You know what I mean? And that doesn't draw players. That might draw viewers for that one moment, but then really that doesn't draw players. And that's really what, when the game's starting out, like I said before, you really need to be focusing on is actually getting in new players. So you should be running maybe like a pro tournament and then like you say, like community run small tournaments along the side, like cap it at X amount of ELO, cap it at X amount of years playing, whatever. Like, you know, you have to make it so that it's fair. I mean, I remember when I first started playing Quake Live, and this is going back 10 years ago, I played in a youth tournament. So you had to be under the age of 18 to play. So I was just turned 18 or just about to turn 18. And I played in the tournament. There's no money. Like, I just new player. I'd only been playing for about 6 months at this time. And, you know, you come and you play. And, yeah, I lost because at that point, I only knew how to play on one map. So I lost the tournament to a guy. And this guy still plays Quake Live, plays Clan Arena. And every time I see him, this guy's, even though I became one of the better players, I guess, especially in Australia and even internationally, I was all right. So this guy, he's like a clan arena player only. He would still say to this day, I beat you, I still got you. And and that's what makes that really good. And then going through all those tournaments, all through Quake Live, for the first 5 years that I played, I never really played for anything more than $100. So, and that kept you still playing. So you don't really need that monetary thing. I mean, it's not like anyone's going to quit, like we were saying before. The amount of money on offer is not enough for me to quit. It's not enough for me to think, fuck, I'm going to do this full time. It's not even close to that. So it's like you're always playing for fun. And yeah, the competition and the money was a side thing. So for them to have spent X amount of dollars so far, I think they could have spent it a bit better. So that's why I'm not really too disappointed in what they're doing. If they're trying to use that money now to either make this game good or the next game they make, whatever, that's fine. There's no need to give out money to, for example, guys that aren't really good enough to be making money off gaming. I mean, like, you look even in like the American tournaments and that. I'm watching the level of some of these guys. American tournaments, European tournaments. I'm not just trying to point out you, Zorak, but American tournaments, European tournaments. Some of these guys playing in these team tournaments making money and playing in these in the dual tournaments and that making money. I'm watching them thinking they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. So it's like for them to be making money, like they're not playing for money. A guy who's that average at the game doesn't have professional aim, doesn't have professional living, doesn't even have professional tactics. He's not playing for money. He's only playing because the money's there. He doesn't necessarily think, I'm playing only in this tournament for the money. Most of the guys that I know of that have played in these tournaments, and I've been playing in the tournaments for a long time now, they're playing more for the fact that they want to test themselves and potentially the bragging rights and that ego that goes along with that, especially in a 1v1 mode, because a 1v1 mode is obviously quite egotistical, right? So even for me,
I couldn't tell.
We went to Quake, even for me, when we went to QuakeCon 2016, right, we didn't go there for the money, because the thing is, even if you won first prize was like 20 grand or something like that. Even if I won that, it's going to, or whatever it was, how much is it going to cost me to get over there? How much is it going to cost me to stay there? How much we go on trip afterwards? We went there for the love of the game, and I wanted to show up and see if I could compete at the top level.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, it wasn't about the money. So for them to need to have these big dollar tournaments, it's not needed. So really, what's happened now, I really don't think it's changed anything at all. Yeah.
It's interesting, Zorak. I just want to ask you a really direct, honest question. Is Diabotical, the few months it's actually been fully released, is this the most amount of money you've made from a video game?
Yeah, actually. I didn't make a lot in Quake Live because the competition was a lot stiffer and there was a lot less money going around. So I mean, I feel like, my ability to like do well against Rafa on LAN, even if I win $0, right? I like take a map off Rafa. That's like more of an accomplishment than like winning a Diabotical duel tournament. Because the competition is just not really stiff in this game. But
so I guess what I'm trying to ask here is kind of like, when Diabotical launched and there wasn't this opportunity, let's say there wasn't this opportunity with the test tournament series for you to earn this amount of money, you probably would have still competed in the dual tournaments, right? Or would you not have? Would you have kind of, because now I think like it's got to a point where someone like you, for example, where you're the favorite to win any North American dual tournament, if we're starting off big with these big money tournaments and then trying to scale back to more community run things, you're probably going to turn down quite a lot of these smaller cups, right? You're going to be like, well, there's only $50 to win here. Maybe I won't bother playing, but maybe you would have started off playing in a lot of those at the start of the game to kind of show that you're number one, and then, later down the line, if these big tournaments would have came in, you would have been. Do you see what I mean? Like, you're probably less inclined to play now, right? Because you've already earned the big money. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say like, a lot of what I enjoy in I like duel. I wouldn't have played these team tournaments if there wasn't like easy money in them. I don't really like team games. But the duel tournaments, I like playing in duel, and a lot of what duel is like just being better, like making yourself better, and then like kind of proving your ability and stuff, which you can do that at any kind of prize pool. So if there was small prize pools in the beginning, I would have done those. But now it's like, kind of as you were saying, it's there's a lot of small like community run tournaments in North America for like dual tournaments. I think the Dash Bracket's one of them. And like the Zen Sports, these tournaments just are too much of a time investment for me to go if I'm trying to do it for money. And I mean, I would probably compete in those. I'd probably win them, but like,
You'd lose like a whole
yeah, I don't
day,
need to
you
prove
know.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you'd lose like a
What am I
whole
proving?
day for a small payout. But you know, think back to Quake Live when you wasn't kind of, when you were chasing people like Rafa and whoever. I've looked up your Liquipedia. You played in a lot of these Quake Live cups and stuff, right? And obviously they're not big money. They're like literally pizza money, to borrow a term from Press OK. So it's it's like
Yeah, I mean, those cups back then, it was like if Rafa and DeHang don't play in this cup, like it's who's the best that's not Rafa and DeHang, and so
yeah,
it's like you're still trying to prove that even. It's like I mean, and the thing is like the tournament's just like a little bit of money just makes people try, I guess. And so when people are trying, it's like playing poker without money compared to with money. Like you put something on the table, people want to try and they're going to do their best, and it produces better games.
mm,
Um, and so yeah, but like I think the nominal amount also, like when I was playing Quick Live, $100 to me was a lot of money back then. But like nowadays, I've an adult job, right? And so $100 is not going to pay rent or anything.
no, of course not. Not on the west coast of NA anyway.
But if you look at like, for example, if you look at like back in Europe in like early 2010s kind of thing, you think about those Zotac cups, they're $100 first prize. That's not really much money at all, is it? Now I know Europe has a couple of countries that's actually a little bit of money, but you think about Western Europe especially, that's not really any money at all. And they used to have over 128 people sign up for some of them sometimes. So you can't really say that that anyone was playing necessarily for the money. So I don't really think you need that to, like what we've said, to really. I mean, $25
Yeah.
is a pretty good win, but
Yeah, I think I agree. Like people are playing for like the love of the mode in the game, and from what I see is like I don't really feel like people really love the team modes, and so people are playing them because there's like a decent easy money, but like if you take away the money, we'll still be playing like the modes we like. You know, like duel would be played if it's a low amount of money.
I completely disagree with you there because I think that the team modes were better than the duel in this game. I think that they're actually
Really?
playing with I think the whole point of playing games is playing with your mate. Now, you tell me on duel what sort of community is there? There is none in this game because you can't even message anyone on the game. You can't actually watch anyone else play. It's just you and the other guy in the thing, and there's no time to talk because once you get in the game and you find the game, it's ready to go. So I feel like the team modes in this game, actually, I thought they were actually quite fun. Now, I've never really rated myself as purely as a dueler because I never really liked playing duel. The only reason I played duel was because there was nothing else to play at late at night, for example, because there was always a clan arena going in Australia when I started playing Quake. So there's always a clan arena or duel. And if you didn't play either of them, then you couldn't get a game. So, but the thing is, TDM and that, you always had to organize a game. But when you got a game going, I always found those modes more fun, even in Quake Live, than I found duel, because it's all about playing with your mates, and there's just nothing. It's satisfying. Duel's good because the thing is, you can do some good stuff and you can do some hit some good shots 1v1, but there's nothing more satisfying than having like a shotgun and a rocket launcher and killing 4 people like it was fuck all because you just went bang bang, and then you switched to your shotgun, blasted another one, and then grabbed the railgun, hit 3 or 4 rails when you had 10 health to kill 2. It just feels so fucking good. And the thing is with MacGuffin, it was like that was what's really good about that. Like you're defending and you've got like a rockets and a rail and 50 armor, and you're killing 6 people when there's 3 people, and then they're charging again. You're killing another 3. It's about eking out your damage, and it just felt really crisp because the thing is, it wasn't like Quake Live where you're playing online and 70 ping feels fucking dreadful. It actually felt quite good on 70 ping in this game, and I think the whole team aspect of that was really good. We used to play in a lot of scrims back then, but it depends what kind of thing you're like. See, for you, maybe you always like playing the duels purely because it was just you and all that sort of thing. But I don't really like playing games by myself. So that it's a matter of personality. But I think the actual team games in this game were quite fun, and Extinction could have used a bit of work, I think, and Wipeout could have used a bit of work. It wasn't really a competitive game, but in terms of the actual game, it was quite fun. And I think that MacGuffin was very fun because it was like, you got a lot of opportunity.
We are back. I will fix the cams as we go, but Mr. James is here with FraZe, ZorakWar, and obviously Press OK. And here we go. I mean, James, you were listening. You said it was boring. Why did you?
There wasn't enough drama.
Okay.
I was like, this ain't gonna make a Reddit post. But you guys are being logical.
Oh, how dare us.
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, this show is categorically not Reddit come to life. We do that intentionally because Reddit is Reddit, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. But I just thought, people wanted to know a bit more context. I was like prepared after the statement to be like, might have to talk to some people, but if you want, you can always ask or,
Okay. Well, I have a question for you. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, what changed from like December to now as far as like the idea of keeping esports like a big focus?
Yeah. I mean, we had a meeting and you were in it, Zorak. So in that meeting, I kind of said to the guys, and I took a few of them in. Zorak was one of them because he's obviously top jeweler and was competing in teams. And it was like, all right, we might be able to do another season. It's a bit of a charity thing, but it would, what do you guys want? Do you want change? If we can, get it done. And I was like, it's not going to be easy. And I said, if we do it, we might have to do an ESL tactic. So ESL, they have very long payouts. And I was like, lose another 100 grand over the next season or something. I was like, we could do 90-day payouts, and that keeps my, life a little bit easier on the cash flow. And currently we do 30-day payouts, roughly, apart from Hoyt, because I wanted to wind him up. So I paid everybody in NA, apart from Hoyt, and then Hoyt kept on asking Mojo if it's something you needed to do. Sorry, Hoyt, I see you in chat. It's just me trolling you for a couple of days extra. And then, so we had that meeting, and then I remember Zorak saying, so why do esports at all? And I was like, yes, it's a very good question, Zorak.
Oh, Zorak, you're to blame.
esports?
I did ask that.
And so I was like, okay, look, let's take a serious look at this. I was like, all right, obviously esports marketing cost, wanted to promise something when the game came out. I always felt that Arena FPS kind of got left behind. So to me, when I kind of, scored some investments and some epic deals, I was like, look, we should just put in, like 200K, because, a lot of these people were, were my peers, back in Quake days. And, I want to do something nice and, we'll see if, it catches on. So I was really happy that a lot of people played, and, I don't mind if they were shitters, as FaZe noticed. Me and Wins were watching the tournament. Everyone was shit in our voice comms as we were watching, even though I'm shit compared to Wins. But and then so there's a lot of people on eSport earnings with like 99% earnings, Diabotical. So that was one of the best things out of it. I felt it was like people that maybe missed the boat when it came with Quake Live had a chance to kind of prove themselves. It's one of the most fun times to prove yourself at a game is at the beginning when you've got to learn stuff. But to FaZe's point, it was like, yeah, it's hard to want to do esports at the beginning of the game because you should really learn the game first. But to kind of counter that point a little bit, since Quake Champions was a sequel, you kind of knew who was going to turn up. So I think it was okay to do esports there. And I think because Diabotical was a kind of spiritual successor, we kind of knew who was going to turn up. So we also felt it was okay to kind of, out the back, just make sure, everyone was at least interested and engaged, and, they would hopefully train, and we made the tournaments as easy to compete in as possible. Kind of like, turn up for an easy qualifier if you're already good, turn up for 2 days, win some money. But yeah, so from December, really, it was just like me looking at it and going, nah, I just don't think it's for us. I think we should focus on being a strong company, because if we're a strong company, and we update Diabotical, we try and see where we can find success with certain game modes and where to focus on it. What can we do for season 2? What can we do for season 3? And keep that going. And also, as a game studio, you generally want to make games, right? So we've had on the back burner for quite some time a couple of projects in the glitch engine that we were like, let's not stretch too far with company finances, just in case we get too many hiccups. So really it was just making sure that we're safe for a couple of years and don't overspend, and it's really hard to do because I fucked up my sleep schedule. That's why I'm awake, because I had to sit up all night thinking about it. I was like, oh god, got to do this. And I was like, yeah, we got to rip the Band-Aid off. And people are like, you announced it on tournament day. And I was like, would you rather me wait a month to tell you? You know, and then it hurts more because you've waited and waited and then you get it late. So I just wanted to get the information out there as quick as possible, though that was a decision.
Fair enough. Zorak, do you have a follow-up or?
No, I guess I understand.
I have a question, James.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it was picking the company before esports. That was really it. You know, like, and you have to understand, it's like there's like a lot of stories in the company to get a game done over 7 years, which were really like hard. And there are a lot of people that stayed with the company, you know, through very hard times. And I weigh them up kind of, you know, like when I pay prize money to NA and EU, I do it the same because I'm like, I have to do this like it. The children got to pay them the same amount. Unfortunately, Australia is like, you know, it's like a half child. I don't take responsibility fully, so I miss out some payments.
Love child, keep it on the hush, you reckon?
Yeah. Like Diabotical is kind of our little love child when it comes to, you know, that's the one that we'd like to throw some esport coin at because, you know, the other games, we don't know what their audience is. You know, we don't know them as players yet. So, you know, Diabotical is a nice one if we can revisit it, you know, and we still will continue supporting grassroots. So it was quite emotional to make those decisions because it's like you want to help everybody out, but you got to prioritize because otherwise you might not even have a company and then no one wins, if that makes sense. Because like, you know, even if it was just 100K that you might bleed over the, you know, 3 months, you know, then people are like, oh, you're doing it again. And then by the end of the year, you know, you're down 400 grand or something. I was like, I don't think we need to put ourselves that close on budget before we've, you know, worked on Diabotical more, as well as potentially with the new programmer who's on his own little project right now to learn the engine, how to make game modes. You know, see if there's any kind of success in communities there with our engine and, you know, new communities. So yeah, it was a tough decision, but it was
with the amount of obviously money that was spent. I mean, like I say, I was kind of making jokes the other day. Like, we've got an NA team tournament happening kind of now. We have an EU one after. That's 40K you're spending on each of the with both those combined, right? It's not millions of pounds, but it's not, you know, it's not chump change, right?
But it's okay because, like, at the end of the day, like Rafa might win 5 grand for being part of the Diabotical community, and that's nice. You know, it's a bit of marketing, right? You know, it's actually probably plus marketing for the game. You know, him and Agent, you know, Zorak does his jewels as well. FraZe gets mad on stream. That's always good. That's value for money. You know, it's like, that's okay. And that's what we kind of promised at the beginning, that we would do something. And, you know, part of we would do something wasn't just the promise for, you know, trying to get something going with these esport guys. It was they were also helping us pre-launch. And they were testing for us and giving a lot of feedback. And there were a lot of pro gamers like, hey, this is wrong. This ain't this. And, you know, there was play tests and stuff. Some pro gamers, you know, not so interested. Obviously, they're like, I'll turn up when there's money. I don't even think Rafa used his key despite getting it like almost the earliest. You know? Yeah, he didn't even buy a battle pass.
Unbelievable.
That's why esports. Apparently, he tried, but there were some problems.
Card decline.
Do you really think that people like watching Rafa or someone like this play this game and think, "Fuck, I'm going to get this game," that already weren't going to get it? I mean, who's going to be watching? I don't think so. I don't.
But it's kind of
think about. Like you think about like Rafa and that, like really outside of arena FPS, are they really known? No, I don't really.
No,
think
no,
so.
of course not. No, of course not. You know, obviously, if you want to spend, you know, 200 grand and get your game promoted, you spend it on celebrities and Twitch rivals, right? You don't do it with Rafa. But you know, I was like, you know, that doesn't really, you know, spending it on. I get a bit weirded out by like, I think I clicked like Josh OG on esport earnings, and he's like pro gamer earned 70 grand, and it's like, as you know, more than Sparty, and I look at it and it's just all Twitch rival invites for weird games because he's a big Twitch streamer, and I was just like, I don't want to give this guy more money, you know. It's like, and so the nice thing about getting Rafa and other people playing, at least there was something to talk about. I always find that was quite nice for the current community, you know, that these guys are playing, this is going on, you know, and so I was like, yeah, you know, by all means, you know, help yourself to the money. You know, it was always like pre-promised, so it was never any hard feelings about that. That was, I felt that was a nice, you know, thing that we hopefully did. I don't know if I've got cold Coke here or no, warm Coke or cold coffee, but I'm going to take a sip.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Not sure.
What was it?
I think it's cold. It's warm Coke. Yeah, it's been there for a while.
I got a question just about the actual esports circuit.
But I think it was a really good decision, and it was really hard. So I was actually kind of happy about it at the end of it because I was like, "Fuck!" I was able to make that decision. I was able to take the L on esports in front of the community. And then afterwards, I felt really relieved because I was like, "I'm not going to have a stressful time, and I'm not going to have to, kind of behind the couch coins, if something goes wrong, because you never know what's going to go wrong. You never know, there's something that comes up with lawyers, accountants, or whatever, and then
there's no fucking guarantee that paying big streamers to play a game is going to do much for you. I mean, we had Shroud playing the fucking beta, and the only thing people took away from that was him not being able to jump to scroll wheel down.
We patched that the next day,
and he was gone forever.
No, but the thing is, we knew Arena FPS. It was the Arena FPS guys that were going to turn up, and I think that was somewhat of the problem as well with what we were when it comes to game modes and designing. Because I think even before it was launched, I was like, look, there's going to be 50 people that want to play this, 100 people that want to play this, only 100 people that want to play this, and I was like, let's just get this shit into custom games. So if they, if it hits the right way with them, they can just, have their own little communities again. I think if I had done it again, I would have just done like Wipeout, CTF, MacGuffin, Duel. That's it. And you would have 3 team modes. You come in the game, that's it. And then if you want to play 1v1, you play Duel, and you just say, there's nothing else right now. We're polishing this up. And if someone complained that they want to play, FFA or TDM, you just be like, nah, not yet. Just be like, later, and that, and maybe polishing Wipeout to a point where, because it was kind of really popular in closed beta with the newer players that kind of understood it, even though we didn't have a tutorial going in of what was going on, and XQC was like, I had no idea what's happening. He's like, what's the objective? He was just dying over and over. And I think Papa Smurf was in his game, absolutely hunting him down as well. But I think like that, maybe just MacGuffin and Wipeout or something could have been great just on launch, just those two. Because I talked to the esport guys about, after I played the tournament, I said, I really didn't enjoy playing Extinction. It was fucking stressful. That's not the kind of level anxiety I'd like in a game because, the frag was just too powerful. And Silencep, who was on the team, was like, nah, it was great. And I was like, I was meant to be the life lead and failed miserably. And then, Latromi had to save it. And so I was like, I took a meeting afterwards. And that's the thing about the esports guys. It's like, I was like, do you just want to do MacGuffin? Like, just want to fuck everything else and just play MacGuffin tournaments. And then it's instantly 50-50 split. So you're like, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
But I kind of proposed that, a couple of times. And, poor Mojo has to take all the votes and then, let people up and down and all that stuff. So he gets the blame.
I've seen a lot of comments since your post, James, about questions about why wasn't the test tournament series used as a means to test other modes. Like CTF, for example, which has always sort of been in a state of work in progress, like a classic TDM. Was there any reason why it was sort of stuck to the same format for 4 events?
The thing about classic TDM, we got it working really well because we nerfed the shit out of dodge. Like, we nerfed dodge so hard, me and Wins, when we were testing, that it was actually for us very fun because we were like, oh, it feels like we're playing what we loved. What do we love? Quake Live TDM. Okay. Go to launch, nerf this shit. The whole community, the new community, are playing Wipeout. They can't move. They're like, where's this? Why'd you nerf it? Blah, 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 blah. And we're like, fuck. We just made a game for ourselves, Wins. We should probably buff dodge. So, it's like... Sorry, your question was about picking the game modes from the get-go, right?
Well, just pretend, it was called the Test Tournament Series, but
Test Tournament Series, yeah.
We didn't do a whole lot of testing in terms of new maps.
Yeah, but what happened was then is like basically the mainstream community weren't interested in those modes, but we had to use the mainstream mechanics, so those modes got a little bit kind of silly. And then people were having a hard time, with them because obviously less players in a 3v3, more anxiety on your performance. So everyone would still prefer the Wipeout because you get all the guns. No one can re-pick up health and armor. So you will eventually get a kill because you'll run into somebody. But play TDM 25-second respawn timer, doesn't matter, 15-second respawn timer versus a stack, you're going 50 to 10. So at least Wipeout didn't hurt that. Yeah.
So it's more of a kind of like link between the what are the everyday fucking pleb would play on the main screen, as opposed to then, you know, what the pros would probably experience.
Yeah. So it was more important to keep the Wipeout guys happy because they were the majority of the player base. I think it was like 4 times the amount of time played was in Wipeout than any other game mode, and still is to some degree.
Okay.
Obviously, the AIM arenas were really popular with the newer players as well that came in because they were stuck in a room. They didn't have to strafe jump, so they could just shoot each other from across the room. So actually, like 1v1 AIM arena was more popular than Duel, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know, streamers come in for the first time, and it's like they don't have to think; they just have to pull out the guns and work out which ones do what around corners or head to head. I remember watching the streamers and so many of them just going, "It's fucking laser beam, man." This fucking laser beam's dumb, because they were just getting shafted as soon as they got a little bit of ELO, they would meet somebody that knew, and then they would just be like, "It's fucking laser beam."
I guess like I think from like a spectator perspective, like it would have been if there was like a test tournament series where okay, this one we're doing strictly MacGuffin, for example, and we're gonna introduce 2 of the new maps to test it out. And sure, obviously there's quite big money on the line, but I think like the trouble is that obviously you're finishing up the esports program now, but I don't think there's a whole lot of excitement for this NA and the next EU tournament because we've seen Wellspring 3v3 enough now. We've seen Furnace Wipeout as well. I do feel like maybe like if you did like a CTF one, maybe you lowered the money or something, just stuff like that. I'm not saying you would have kept the esports program because clearly, we don't see the human element of your day to day at the company.
I mean, if you're gonna do CTF, which is like really fun, right? CTF Quake Live, and it's great if you can get teams of 4. There was never any financial position to get the Arena FPS players supported in any team aspect other than going for 2v2 or 3v3. And I didn't feel on 2v2 there was enough game modes that could work with a dynamic, right? Apart from it's just like, hey, it's TDM. And then obviously we knew that all the jewelers are in Quake Champions. And that was, we were like, okay, if anybody wants to come jewel with us, we'd get some tournaments, right? But if you're after the serious money, you're going to play QC. And, Cypher turned up for the first tournament. And obviously, he really wasn't meant to. He messaged me going, I hope 04 doesn't see lol.
Oh.
No, but they were getting more lenient about it. And it was actually credit to Team Liquid's management for sorting that out. They actually got the ability for, players to be able to play, at wherever they wanted across the board. So credit to Liquid for, taking not a tough conversation because I don't think we were always going to, schedule around QC. But it was nice just to, because I always felt like, offering a little bit of extra prize money next to QC, it was kind of cool because I felt like, well, if we don't do it all, then QC do it a little bit and, vice versa and stuff like that. And, it was, like QC esports surviving is still important to us. Like I did the introduction for id Software with PGL, Silvio, the CEO is a friend of mine, and even his wife and Anna were very nice to help us out a little bit financially in early development times with Diabotical because we exchanged some work together. So I kind of just said, work with PGL, they're the best, they're cheaper than ESL, your money will go further. So, so nothing against the, I always felt like having the both would be nice. But of course, us scaling back to grassroots, it's a little bit probably more fun for Zorak, people who want to duel, because it's much more cost effective.
What we're doing going forward. What are we doing about the game? How are we going to get more players? If we're not going to get more players, let's start a new fucking game, get it out, and fucking get it marketed, and fucking have some fun. Don't worry about esports. Fuck esports. Fun, mate. I just want to play fucking game. I log in the game right now, and I can't even find a match. So don't even worry about starting this cranking fucking stream up because I can't even find a fucking game. I can't even find a fucking 1,200 elo fucking pleb to go and rate 30 mil. I can't find I know, mate. I just want to fucking have a game. I've been playing fucking Quake Live again, mate. That's how sad you've made me. So fuck.
I think-
I
think
think
FraZe has
I'm
some
telling you like
questions.
what the esports journey is like and how different it is, compared, right? And it's like me trying to go out there, players trying to help me to join teams for free, and then teams saying that it's still a company cost and they're not interested in having free players in $100,000 prize money.
You haven't got $100,000 to put in prize money, though, mate.
No, that was before the season started, the test tournament series.
I stopped listening about 20 minutes ago, mate. Come on, let's fucking move forward.
All right, what do you want to talk about then? Because I thought this was
Well, if we're not going to talk about Diabotical because we're saying it's fucking finished, and I'm not saying it is finished because the game's still good, but like, are you going to be able to get new players? Probably not. It's like what we're going to need.
I think there's a possibility of getting new players, but I think first of all we have to get some of our commitments done, which are Wipeout 2.0, CTF.
But what are you going to do?
We got replays, huh?
Replays, but we're talking 1999 shit, mate. I can't even move my gun model left and right, mate. I just want that, like the basics.
What do you mean move your gun model left and right?
So
You mean
I like to have no fucking gun model on rail. That's why I can't hit fuck all rails in this game. Pincers, I'll even do the righty by your pincers. I want the basics. If we're talking we can't get replays, that's 1999, mate. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about fucking what we're doing to make this game cutting edge. And I think the game was in a fucking good spot, and then it went all weird.
Where did it go all weird? Like, what did we change? Well, you mean like the queue systems or not the game?
Thing is, I think with the queue systems, you're targeting, like, you're looking at CS, LoL, these kinds of, they've got massive amount of players. So what we probably could, let's not talk about what we could have done, but it would have been better to be in the state that it's in now. It's kind of like Quake Champions. You look at Quake Champions now, it's actually quite good. Whereas when it came out, it was fucking terrible. 3 lives. Who the fuck's idea was that? Like, that's like a Tim Willett's fucking Asperger's syndrome fucking thing right off the bat.
Hey, wait. I did that in Extinction. There's a backhanded insult in there.
Extinction, everyone's flipping on Extinction. I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought it was all right, but it could have been a little bit changes, maybe a few more lives so you could attack a bit more. Wasn't so spawn-based, power-up based. But the actual game was quite fun. Like, I actually liked Diabotical. Yeah, I raged a lot on stream, but that was mostly because the weird netcode shit going on. But that stopped, and now it's all actually pretty good. So realistically, the game's actually playable. It's quite fun. It's just that there is no players. You've got guys going back to Quake Live. What are we going to do about it?
Update the game.
Update are you going to do? What update are you going to do? It has to be drastic, and not drastic to the point where we're getting sad and bringing in weapons that are not fit for this game like that. I'll be honest, I haven't shot a void cannon, so I don't even know what it's like. All I know is that ain't Quake. That ain't Arena FPS. That's shit.
That ain't Quake. What, you want another Quake, do you, FraZe? Just cools you out.
I don't. That's the thing is,
that ain't Quake. That's the point. We want drastic changes.
I should have said Arena FPS. You're right. I should have said that ain't Arena FPS. That's shit.
All right. So yeah, it'd be fun, much. Yeah, but the weird thing is like we were trying to please too many people at the beginning. Like this game mode here, these people here, this, and it's kind of like one of the saddest things, but also an opportunity when the community took esports not being going into season 2. They were like, well, that obviously means the game dead. I'm like, okay, great. Maybe there won't be so many expectations. So if we do some wild shit to some of the gameplay queue systems and actually just try and find something more refreshing and more diabotical and less kind of quakey, maybe we can find a better niche with an updated Arena FPS and take more risks, right? Because we already know who's playing. We already know that who would rather play QC or QL or every other game out there on the planet.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And the thing is, there's two things you've got to aim for. Completely new game. Hold on. Completely new game. Or you're going to go with completely new game, or you're going to go with Arena FPS copy of all the other ones that are out there. So you've obviously gone closer to leaning towards the left, which is fine. But then I think that means you're committed to that, and we got to continue with that. It can't be, we'll keep the Quake Live, because that's where the majority of the players were coming from, right? From those other games. Correct? Am I wrong?
The majority of our players are probably Quakers, I think.
Yeah, 100% they are. 100% they are. I know from our community, I can name 90% of the blokes that are playing. They're either guys that used to play or they played for a bit or whatever, they come back. There's pretty much 10% new players, but then the thing is, you can tell them because they just jump at your lightning gun from fucking 50 meters away with rockets aiming directly at you. Yeah. So it's like
I think the custom list is good, but the problem with I think the custom list is like, because it has a lot going on behind it where people can create what they want. One of the things that is weird with a small game is like you almost want these ringleaders that organize stuff, like you and your MacGuffin matches, or Diabotical District, organizing their events. It almost feels like when you've got a small community, you need these people that want to organize essentially a D&D night, and everyone else can turn up because someone did all the work, right? The whoever's running the D&D stuff. I'm not sure, how far that will push unless we really get the ability for the community to fuck with what we've done with the engine, right? So if we add a coin system to survival, the community are like, fuck it, we can use a coin system in this game mode. And then they create something and they organize, they effectively do a better game modes than we've done. Or we just kind of go like, we're not going to touch that stuff, guys, for a long time. We're going to pick the 3 most popular game modes in Team, and we're going to spin them so that they have a much better gameplay loop, replayability, and therefore longevity. So if any new player comes in again, there's something different and something to learn. Because it's tough to know where it's going to go. In terms of like, is modding going to win when it gets more moddable, or is it us that's going to make the decisions on these are the 3 game modes? Community feedback, done. But I think if I was to like reship this, I would strip out everything apart from 3 game modes, potentially 4 tops with just duel, but maybe just 3 team modes in the 4v4 range. Ship it like that. So you've got 4 game modes, and then allow people to do whatever they want on the side. But, and I would probably want to change, the egg bot so it was actually on the ground and held the gun in the arm. So you didn't have all the, weird stuff happening.
Here's an idea for Jewel, just out of the top of my head that we were talking about a month ago. Now, you want the problem with this game. Let's think about the problems with Jewel in this game. It splits the community, right? And I can't, me, I've played Jewels for 10 years, right? It splits the community, right? So that basically you either play Jewel or you play your team games. It's pretty much, there's some transition between the two, but while there was no casual game mode, it was either guys playing Jewel or they're playing Wipeout, right? So if you're going to go with Jewel, now you want to be able to, if you want people to get into Jewel, you need to be able to teach them, right? And at the moment, there is some content out there, but there's never been any organized content. But I've always thought it would be a cool idea if you had a Jewel where if you want to make teams of 3, and that's what we're saying is the team games, teams of 3, why don't we make it so that Jewel, when you're in there, it's all 3 of you, right? And when one of you dies, the next one spawns in. And then you have to actually work together in a way. And it's nothing else like that out there. So if you want like your little niche of something like that, that's actually quite a cool idea where me, my brother, and say, for example, another guy can play. Now, we're all, even if you're an individual player like Zorak, now you're part of a team because you're all dueling together. Now, he wants to say that he's the big dog or whatever. He can be the leader of the team. He can spawn first, whatever. So it actually works quite well. And I don't know what the actual coding physics would be, that one of you dies and the other one spawns in. I'm sure it wouldn't be fucking hard.
No, that's easy. So, but the problem would... in game design, it's like we took something that was already a formula, and normally when you design games you take a working formula, not arena FPS, right? Because arena FPS isn't typically a working formula. If you're going to make a RTS, you take the RTS games that are successful. If you're going to make a MOBA, you look at Dota and League of Legends. You take a working formula, you guarantee that you at least will have some interest or success. Battle Royales is obviously a good showcase of that. So I think there was enough kind of like at the beginning, it was a bit like, maybe hesitation on taking too many risks on things that we held dear through nostalgia. But I think it's nicer now that we have the opportunity to take some risks, right? In terms of game,
it caused nothing to lose, do you? So
yeah. I mean,
I want
it in, he says. Get it in.
It's also like you would have to then also like I speak to designers that are obviously much more accomplished than me on this, and I spoke about like a Jewel and the Wingman, and you've got 2 players in a Jewel game, and one of them's actually doing all the playing, and the other one's kind of a tactical helper, and they're like, and I spoke to the guy that worked on I think it was Deus Ex as a came in later as a designer, not
That's
Warren.
A fucking good game, isn't it?
So no, he's from the 90s. He's amazing. He's
That's
like, and he's like, so he gave me some advice. He said, the hardest thing you're going to have about this is that you need both players to feel that they're 50% equal into the contribution of the win. So if you want to put 2 people in, that is the real challenge. So you have to come up with stuff that the other person can do. So if you're saying that one person is just going to be spectating while the other one's playing, waiting for their turn, it doesn't, it's not a 50% contribution while they're spectating, right? Unless they're on comms helping out. That's true. But they could have a 50% time in the game if there was 2 of them. So they would actually, and they might even be.
It's like Counter-Strike. You think about Counter-Strike, right?
But you have to remember,
you could die in the first 10 seconds of the round, right?
Yeah.
You push mid on Inferno, and all of a sudden there's some little bitch with the orb, and you're dead. So then for the next fucking minute and a half or whatever, that is what you are.
But
so
I think some of the big questions that the community ask is like, they don't want I think the first question that they had is like, we want Arena FPS to hit the mainstream. That was their kind of wishes and wants. And when they got, and then obviously we always like, we're like, Arena FPS isn't going to hit the mainstream. You know, a good Arena FPS will maybe make $500,000 to $1 million a year tops, but it has to be on, you know, all platforms, right? And it's like, you know, wherever we land, you know, we'll be, you know, happy because, you know, it's our first game, it's our foray into whatever. But, you know, I think Arena FPS is like, you know, Quake name brands can do that. So we were like, okay, we might not hit the mainstream, but it would be nice to be noticed by the mainstream. And now if the mainstream's not here, what we really have to focus on is appeasing and designing around our current community. And it's like, okay, you guys aren't interested in Duel so much now. What is it about that? You know, is it FaZe's Duel system could revitalize that a little bit, you know, a kind of 2v2 Duel tournaments, or is that a fun thing? Because even though I love like 3v3 modes, because I love the dynamic of the third player affecting the kind of power swings, you know, where you play two players up front, one behind. 2v2s are just grab one mate, and that's really powerful, if that makes sense. So like your Duel idea, like dueling with a friend, you know, you get the Duel experience, which is very classic, but you get to bring your friend along. You know, that is really, you know, powerful. And like, so for example, like WoW Arena, or Bloodline Champions, which I worked on, or Battle Right, when you talked about 3 players.
All games that no fuck's ever heard of, mate. Okay, carry on.
World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft
okay.
Arena.
You got me there.
Right. Yeah. But when they came out of those games, they really wanted people to play 3v3, but actually the community were like, nah, fuck it, we want to play 2v2. And then in Bloodline Champions, they're like, yeah, but we want the esports to be 3v3 because that's where the best matches are. But the community were just playing so much more 2v2 because it was so much easier to get a friend in. So maybe maybe 3 players was a mistake on top of that because it didn't allow you to bring your friend. You had to go and have hassle bringing more. So maybe Arena FPS with a smaller community would have been better to focus on, you know, maybe 2v2s and maybe having dual 2v2, stuff like that.
The only problem in those, I think, is if you are going to go 2 versus 2, then you obviously got this situation where you can't really have much objective based. And that's the way that we wanted to go with MacGuffin being number 1. Then 2 versus 2 is never going to work for that, is it? So
yeah, but like your idea was like dueling, right? Like you're playing a duel, but one of you's dead and you're waiting.
I just like the idea because it gets new players into Duel. Like if you think if that's the way you want to go,
I'm
happy if Duel was just cut out completely. Like I don't really think that Duel really adds a lot to the experience for 99% of players. Now,
well, there's no game mode in Arena FPS which will bring the mainstream in.
No, you're right.
Obviously, right? There's just game modes which will keep Arena FPS players happy. So I think that's where the focus is in terms of growth with the current game. Diabotical. So it's like maybe there's it's more fun to get, you know, jewelers would be more interested in that. Maybe they wouldn't, maybe they hate it, and then maybe we do it and then they go, we want to play normal duel. Why is this not in ranked?
Why don't you just make it like an option? What you should do if you bring in anything new is leave the old one, unless you can't do that. In this case, we leave 1 versus 1 duel and we leave team duel and we see how successful team duel is. And if it's not successful, then you fuck it off. But if it is successful, it might actually be enough to rejuvenate the game to the point where you're actually getting a lot of players, a lot of guys getting into duel. And the thing is, if you get into duel a lot, what do you often want to do? I know myself, I'm not really consider myself to be just a dueler. But if you were just a dueler, then you might want to go and play the team duel so that you can, you know, show off how much of a big dog you are.
Yeah, showing off in ranked is fun. You know, especially
you know,
if you get, that was one of the big things of Quake Live pickups was like you join a pickup and it's like you dog on the server and then everyone you know, it's a little bit of, you know, flex that you spent a lot of time playing Quake. So having that moments in Duel is sometimes similar to Wipeout when you're the last player alive and you get that experience.
And that's the good thing about Wipeout in the sense that people are watching you play that you're on the team with. It's like CS. If you're like 1 versus 3 and you got the bomb down or something.
Yeah. That was the designer of Wipeout.
It feels fucking awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's the same with even in Clan Arena and Quake. You got 4 versus 1 and you get it. TDM. MacGuffin, this, they don't have that element of watching your teammates succeed, which is like, you know, a big element. Whereas that duel, they would have that. So say, for example, you know, you're like Golden Frag and you spawn. It's all on you. And you got your two teammates sitting there, you know, clenched fucking balls, sitting there watching, oh, fuck, FraZe's got to go big here or else we're fucked. You know what I mean? And then when he goes massive, it's like
it's actually one of the only social elements you get out of Arena FPS, because like the biggest games have this huge social element of being able to talk while you play. And BR, it's not the fact that it's just a BR, it's the fact that it's an exploration walk through the park with your mates half the time, picking up items and saying who wants this and who wants that. So actually Wipeout, the reason Wipeout I think is like a lot of people think that Wipeout's successful on the basis that you spawn with all guns and it's clan arena, but it's actually not. It's got these tiny little things in it that actually really help the player. And one of them, is it has a little bit more social aspect because you can watch people and you can chat after the round, you know, people go lols. But also, it's not that you spawn with all guns, it's the fact that there's no health and armor to pick up, because everybody will get a kill eventually. It's more like you can walk around a corner and you met somebody that's just survived 2 fights and then they're instantly yours in a shotgun or a frag, right? But when you play on TDM, you know, it's like, yes, you don't have the weapons, obviously, but also you're not necessarily guaranteed to get any kills because people are going to cycle items.
You should watch. You should watch.
There's a reader.
Press OK and I play Wipeout. There's no frags going on there.
But that's why it's it really connected with the new audience when we brought them in, because you know they were getting the hits and they were getting the frags off it because the other players can escape, stack back up, and then dump on them because they know what's going on the map. And you know they've trained themselves to time and return to the red armor. So it was weird.
Like, for example, in Wipeout, I would like to see, I mean, if you want to keep Wipeout as a 2.0, I don't know what you're planning for that, but why not make it so there's some kind of reward for aggressive? The thing is, for example, even if you made it so that you know how you got your enemy's heal or whatever, say, for example, you attack the enemy's heal, they put the heal down, now you get your armor back, or you can overstack or something. So there's actually some kind of reward for attacking. Because at the moment, you want to sit there like a little bitch, and just rail and all this kind of crap. Like, I like the mode.
Yeah, there's more to do in Wipeout.
At a top level tier, that's not going to work. If you just charge in, you're going to get smashed.
Well, so, I mean, we don't really need a top level tier anymore. I don't know if you saw the announcement, but we're not really worried about if it will survive the esports integrity test. It's more about our players having fun.
Which is good, and I think that's what the game should have been from the get-go as well. So I'm actually quite glad there's no money going into the esports. It's all into the game itself.
We're just going to pay for FraZe's consultancy.
I was going to say, this has been a bit of a job interview, has it not? I think FraZe is going to be fucking on a plane to Sweden after this, jumping in the house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you're always going to do a better job, hopefully, the next time round and the next update and the next update. So, you know, it's always good to get perspectives and you know, sometimes it's hard to get feedback when it's just like people designing modes for you. Sometimes it's like, you know, you want to hear like, why do you play this mode? Because then you can figure out what people are actually enjoying about it. Because otherwise you get the Reddit situation where everyone dumps their new game idea. And if you didn't do it because that person is a semi, you know, kind of Arena FPS celebrity, then you're not doing it right because you should have listened to them, you know. And it's like, well, we can't just make a new game mode every time someone suggests something of
this is a big
notoriety.
problem I've seen in, like, for example, Quake Champions. It seems to me they're trying to talk to the top players too much. They have a vested interest in that because it's their livelihood. Or in terms of, like, you look at Rafa and these kind of guys, they're trying to make money off this game. I've never once tried to make money off gaming. It just happened because, you know, you played in tournaments or whatever, but it's not relying on this. So literally all I want is a game that I can log on, stream, have fun.
It's have fun playing it, have fun streaming it, come home from work, need to blow off some steam, have fun shooting people.
Jump on and kill people.
I mean, the main thing we missed with the have fun shooting people, which I really hate, and I think it cost us a lot, was just our inability and inexperience with a brand new engine to get all these kind of polish from like Unreal Tournament engine stuff, which was, can you make the gun feel like it's Doom 2016? And can you make that frag and the explosion of the enemy just feel like, yes, I've had a shit day at work. And we never hit that yet, and it cost us so
even like
much.
Little things, it makes a lot of difference for little beginners.
Yeah.
The lightning gun, or the shaft in your game. I think kind of feels like it's weak. I want to feel something that feels like I'm fucking, you know, like the noise coming from fucking Mount Doom is coming from my gun.
But that's
what I like.
that's kind of
Whereas
an ongoing process with the game, and also the engine is like, what do we need to add in the engine as tools so the artist can make that possible? What do we need to analyze to see what is happening here? Do we need to add oil splats to egg bots exploding? If we do, what tech is that, and how much is it going to cost us on FPS and performance? For Nvidia, then AMD, and then So obviously, without a fully kind of worked out engine, we do take a few hits, and sometimes with the casual audience, you take the hits in the wrong places because your experience and your community that you've known and grown up with was the pro gamers. Yeah, and then you're not thinking about the guy that just is like, I'm checking this out between Call of Duty. And Call of Duty, it's just great to shoot the guns because it's fucking Call of Duty. It's like multi-million-dollar game. And then Diabotical, it's like, oh no, the game's amazing if you get into it. You just have to understand that you need to do this, think this, master this, And they're like, yeah, but this shotgun, little shit. Looks shit. And it's like, I'm not going to play this game. And then there's certainly a group of people that also, with their free time's quite special because they don't get a lot of free time. So when they want to spend their free time playing a video game, they'd rather play something that has a huge amount of quality and kind of money behind it because they feel like they're spending their free time well. So that's why a lot of people, I think, really get into Blizzard games, even though I don't particularly I'm not overly fond of kind of Blizzard's design with Overwatch, but in terms of how it just feels when you play it, I love it. When I was playing,
they do the
Overwatch.
little things right though. They always have
all the details,
extra bullshit. The stuff that really a competitive game I don't really give two fucks about. But
but it keeps people happy.
I know it'd be hard. It's hard for a game like Arena FPS, and even if you look at Quake 3, they never did a like a true single player. They have like the Arena fucking single player. But it's not the same thing, right?
But I think
going forward, it would be good to see something like that. Even in the next games that you've got planned or whatever.
Well, I mean, the craziest thing is like out of all the stuff that we tried in terms of getting new players in, the 100 updates, getting stuff that people wanted, getting the game polished, getting Forza and other people to stream and help out like Mendo. The biggest bump we got in player base, which was about, I think it was like, I think back then we were hovering a little bit above QC in numbers when we did survival. So around the 1.4, I would say it would fluctuate kind of comfortably. We ended up doing survival and it times it by like 4 or 5, but only for 2 days. 2 days, right? Because in those 2 days, what they did is everybody who was a fan of Arena FPS and loved Arena FPS could finally tell their mate, come play this, you're not going to get dumped on. So they jumped in the game, got into survival, had a bunch of fun when survival was around. And then because it was only one map and one experience that was done, as a kind of mix between a lot of tech and a little bit of design, a lot more tech and a little bit of design and all the fucking bugs and then shipped. We just saw like a jump up to like, 5, 6, I think almost 7K players or something that day. And then they a little bit less next day, a little bit less. And then they were like, oh, there's no more survival. Okay. It's only one map. I'm out. And I was like, fuck. You make more money. There's more players in survival than there is a multiplayer Arena FPS. I was like, that's so sad because we put little effort into survival. We just were like, let's do something that opens up doors to the community.
We need to continue that. It's like fucking Call of Duty Zombies, like fucking
shit, but it was crazy like, to have that jump.
Can play with their mates, and the thing is, it's like even when I was playing fucking Overwatch back, they had this fucking one Halloween. They had like this Dr. Junkenstein and shit, and I thought it was fucking fun as fuck. So it's like shit like that. You need to have these little ones, but then you need to be able to use that. So if there's a big skill gap in this game, which there is, you need to be able to build that from there onwards. And if
learning the weapons in there,
come to the game, learn the weapons in there. It's like, and then on to like, okay, this is how you strafe jump. So now you got to be able to do this. Then you got to be able to do that.
Yeah, strafe jumps are a big killer, unfortunately. For
it's fucking hard. That's why it's hard. It's hard.
Well, you've announced 2 new projects and what it looks like to me and us, people like, if you keep Diabotical to kind of try and keep it as close to the Quake formula as possible, people like Zorak, people like the NA jewelers, people like the EU jewelers like Agent and stuff, they're going to still play Diabotical, right? Your core audience isn't going to go anywhere. But all these things you're talking about in terms of like getting attention, you said your numbers spiked up for that survival mode. I would assume that sort of stuff is going to be more incorporated.
That's a lot of education for us as a a new studio, right? That's education for us, like so it's like, okay, what's going on with this? What we did this and these numbers have changed. So we're quite good at tracking, numbers up and down based off happiness factor of what we think people are enjoying. It's really hard to get that, through Reddit in some ways, because it does seem to be, a vocal disgruntled minority that sometimes just trolling because, it's Arena FPS and, it's a part of what you do. So the numbers that we've been tracking that's good education, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to do survival because there's a bunch of people, right? It's like, if you're going to do survival properly, you have to look at the market and see really where you are. How much work would it take to make something which is worth people's time in survival? And then you're like, okay, if we're attacking, survival then becomes, okay, we're competing against these companies, and at the same time these companies are paid games. This is a free to play thing in the Diabotical eggbot universe. In Diabotical, it's like, you can't justify the level of polish where you do what Blizzard do, where they're like, hey, as a DLC for Hearthstone you got to pay another $15 every 3 months or whatever. So it's not really an option for us. But what is cool about survival is it showed us that we can do it, we get some bot work, we can improve this. And then also the community hopefully can start using our triggers. And then, maybe we bring back some more events with survival because they were the best marketing we got from season to season or patch to patch, and drop a little event, you know what I mean? Where it's like, this one's actually got a boss in it and it's blah, blah, blah. And then, maybe people come back and check out the game. And if we've done a good job with the game and the core audience and got game modes that they want to replay, then there's, they can seep over. But it's all very difficult to suggest which is the best direction to go. I mean, obviously with Diabotical, it's please the community and make the right decisions. As a company, it's work with Diabotical, but then also if Diabotical has this much and you're planning on having 15 employees or something by 2022 or something like this, you're like, okay, do we have 15 employees working on Diabotical, or do we have 10 of these guys, whatever, working on pre-production and 5 core guys, and then people jump in and out between projects depending on goals, season 3 goal, this goal, this. So it's fucking, it's all right. I think we know what we're doing in terms of where we want to go. It's just getting there is always going to be a new thing for us.
Well, I will say, as far as what will actually make me play Diabotical is if you do anything, just do something new or different, or I'm tired of playing all the same stuff, all the same modes. If I don't have new maps to play in Duel, I'm just going to stop playing Duel. And the survival thing was great because it's like, oh wow, I have all these physics that I really know and like. This is my favorite type of physics. This FPS I like. You just get. But now I'm playing something new that I've never played before. Let's do some of that. I don't know.
I want to know more about the tag team duel mode that fucking FraZe mentioned. That's what I want.
Yeah, I would play that.
You'd play that, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think. That's why I think the test tournament series was a little bit of a missed opportunity with stuff like that.
Oh, but the test tournament series was also going on at the same time that we were doing 100 patches, so we overlapped it probably awfully. Because when we spoke to the community when we shipped, we asked the core audience, and that's a lot of the people that we know, and they were like, "What do you want done?" And they were like, "We just want you to polish it because that code doesn't feel great. This doesn't feel great. This And we're like, "Okay, fuck it. We just polish the shit out of this until we get it to a point where it feels like it's stable, good, everybody on whatever machines they're running." And then we can make some changes. So I don't think we've really got to delve too much into game design changes, because I think I must have had a conversation with Rafa ages ago where I spoke to him about Wingman at a DreamHack. Wingman duel is going to be great. It's 2 players at a duel, and one of you can do things like put up walls and tag your opponent with darts and, tracks them around the corner and shit like that. And then, it's like, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, this guy's nuts," because I was probably drunk on Jack and Coke. And then,
but he's playing for money, mate. He doesn't give 2 fucks about the game. He just wants to make money. So
but it would have been nice to really push that, push Wingman duel over duel, push the idea of 2 people dueling.
Fucking 100%. I'd love to fucking jump in a server, FraZe and Buster, going hard. Fucking who wants us? Come get us. It's not happening. You know what I mean? I don't want this fucking you know, Jules is like fucking toxic. Like, it's such a sweat lords game. Like, I've been playing this shit for fucking 10 years. I'm not fucking playing against some jumping late at night and playing against some little rat who just wants to fucking hide and wants to ping win because I got 70 ping. I want to play against someone who fucking actually wants to come fight. So it's like, you know,
yeah. I mean, but I have to respect on the other side. You've got players like Zorak in the current draw, and I watch how he competes and learns, and that's like him, you know, kind of going through the discipline and self improvement, and I think that's really fun. Of course, he's doing that, you know, because he already knows the game, and so his self improvement is one thing, but also him having the opportunity to team duel would then offer an opportunity to him to learn at the same time, is still bringing that kind of mentality.
It offers a way into a team mode for the duelers, because the thing is, you think about it, you got 3 guys. Say it's 3 teams. You got 3 guys, and now we can go and play team duel together. And yeah, I'll be the leader of the team duel because I'm the most experienced tournament player. And then we've got the team guy.
And also, you've invented this imaginary mode, so you're in charge. Yeah.
Well, fuck, I'm gonna call the shots, mate. Because what you're doing ain't working. So, so we could do something like that, and I think it's worth experimenting. You know, so get it done.
I think you could only get 2 players in a team duel. I don't think you could do
3. Yeah, if you want to get 2, sure. It's the start.
But I think
so. Basically, you're just selling me my idea back from 2010. So I still own it. So in your face.
Oh, it's your idea. You make all the money. I just want to play the game. So that's all
right. I'm loaded off these arena FPS players. You have no idea how many are buying the battle pass. It's just. Oof.
I haven't bought one, so I feel like I've let the team down.
So, you're negative a lot of money on me too. Good. I haven't paid you anything yet.
It's all right.
No, don't worry. We're okay. We're good for 2 years, and that's what I wanted to make sure we were good for. And so on the business side, it's I never, you know, I only joke about Rafa not buying a battle pass, but I did want to put in a rule: if you didn't buy a battle pass, you only get 75% of your prize money. And I was like, no, Rafa will fucking buy it. I think there'd actually be legal problems with that, because then you're actually paying to get prize money, and then
Poor Hoyt has probably bought both battle passes. He's the one waiting an extra couple of months for his money. But,
he's going to buy battle pass 3 as well. Hoyt, he's going to love it. It's got more weapon skins.
It's interesting listening to FraZe and Zorak talk about wanting new stuff, because coming into this like from a new AFPS kind of guy, like I would have thought most people would have want like a QL clone.
Yeah, but that kind of what it felt like before we launched. A lot of people telling us, "Oh, it's not like Quake Live, or it's not as good as, you know, it's not, you know, it could be more like." And I was like, okay. But we also went to a Kickstarter and promised people a kind of Quake Live-esque arena FPS, if that made sense. So it was kind of, you know, maybe that was the easy way to ship, where it's like, you know, we promise you this, so at least we're going to deliver this. We know you kind of like this. And then it's like, okay. And then everyone was like, actually, we don't like it as much as we thought we would.
Well, I've said this before. Like, you'll never beat the original. Like, that doesn't apply just to this game.
Yeah, that was something that. I played.
You'll never top the original.
Quake Live TDM, and I was like, shit, this game's better than Diabotical. I was like, fuck. I was like, I don't want to play Quake Live TDM anymore.
You know, in some of your old dev videos and stuff, you had fucking mad shit planned for this game, like alt fires, but different directional jumps and stuff.
It was such an engine project. Like, imagine this game with one engine coder. You've got more features in this game than you've got in AAA games.
Yeah, very true.
Right. You've got more kind of quality of life things coming in. You know, you've got and it's one engine coder. And during development, you know, I shouldn't have taken such a back seat on game design, because we had a point where we hired a bunch of artists, and the artists came to us all kind of hyped up. They've been working in Unreal Engine. They come into our studio, and I'm kind of like thinking game design. These guys will be all right. And then the reality was they were just not happy with what the engine fucking did. And I was like, Mr. Frog, I think we're going to lose 5 artists unless you go crazy with the engine and give them, you know, what they want. And so I think, you know, we didn't touch game design that year for, I would say 11 months. I think we did game design in December that year. That was a while ago. I think it was like 2016, 17, but it was pretty boring for me. I just had to learn how to run a company and be nice to people and tell them like more blue on door frames, because we were just trying to keep them happy. So we, you know, had the guys at the company rather than, and I was like, I'll fix game design later. It's fine. It'll be. And then I played the game for the first time over December, after like all that time of just, you know, trying to get the down and stuff, and the engine updated for the team wanting, and I played it over December. I was like, oh, this is fucking shit. So we really need to fix this. So we went ham over Christmas, as we normally do, and played a bunch of duels versus each other and tried to fix it up. But it's weird. It's weird to it's a weird struggle. But I don't want to go into personal stories because I think I've ever done that here. But it was definitely a big struggle. But really glad that we'll be it's really glad it's still got a future.
The story of Diabotical's game design could probably be a fucking 5-hour-long epic in itself.
The making of is nuts. Yes. Yeah, the making of is nuts. Yeah, we were. Yeah, we avoided bankruptcy, I think 5 times. That was what I counted.
Oh, jeez. I've just got a quick question from chat, and if anyone else wants to chuck in some questions, we'll wind it down with some questions from chat. Just got one from 2G Crib from Australia. Will development and patches slow down in the context of the new games?
Some of my game design time is over there, but in terms of what the engine does, it's already quite versatile. So not really, but they'd be more focused because we don't have to do so many little things now. So you'll still get nice updates, but they'd be like, okay, this one's about replays, or this one's about, Wipeout, and this one's about this. It won't be like too much of everything that we've been doing in the past. So I'd expect we'll find a pace that works for us. So I'm assuming it will feel slower, but it doesn't mean that we're not working anymore, because you kind of reap the benefits of any work we do in the engine for any of the new titles, right? Because they're using the same engine. So if we're figuring out ways to make guns feel better, and with VFX tools and stuff, like, you're going to get that in Diabotical. Probably before the new games will, because we're working on them. They're not released, but we can update now Diabotical's VFX or something. So hopefully it feels more focused, but yeah. But it will probably feel slower.
It's going to feel slower after you've just done 100 patches in 100 days anyway. So yeah, for sure. Someone's asking about whether we'll get a global chat system a la Blizzard Battle.net, because the game feels empty. It says dead.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have our own friend system on top of Epic Games, so we're a little bit, we'll see where they go with that and what we can do with them. But I don't really know, no promises on that kind of stuff.
Cool. How do you feel about the reworked guns, the alt fires, etc.? Are you happy with those?
I just wanted to change the game fundamentally. That was my goal, kind of like where FraZe is going with what you want to do. And I was like, well, this will fuck it up. And I was like, I don't particularly like alt fire back in the
FraZe,
day.
Yeah?
FraZe, yeah, sorry. I really didn't like alt fire from Emerald Tournament. It really turned me off. And so for me to put it in was a bit like, but then I had a conversation with Noctis, and we were just like, well, we overly use the zoom key anyway. Why don't we just put the secondary fire on the weapon and make it so you can't zoom? And I was like, yep, that that I would use that. As someone that's engraved in terms of learning FPS through Quake. But then the community, as soon as we give it to them, they're like, we want to zoom. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then someone from the dev team takes a decision. They're like, I can just give them that as well. I say, yeah, okay, just give them everything.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to have the secondary fire on the zoom key or the same thing. Like, you could make it so the secondary fire was like whatever other button.
Well, it is now, yeah. But the thing is like, in Valorant, they wouldn't have given you that option. Blizzard, they wouldn't have given you that fucking option. It's like, this gun, you can't zoom. But our community, they're like, give.
The thing is there that you've got you can't set FPS per gun, as every gun's the same FPS, so that's the difference there.
Too many options, suffering from success. Yeah. That's what that
Whereas in CS, if you could zoom in with the AK, imagine that, fuck, you'd be like a scout now, isn't it? Except you can shoot fast, so it's not right. But
so, and I quite like the idea of the void cannon not zooming, just because I thought it would be the next coolest weapon for Instagib, and Instagib was always quite popular. And I was like, it's faster firing, and if you can't zoom, a lot of our maps even work better because you don't have those angles across our giant wipeout maps, right? So, but maybe it's making some harder decisions with the community and saying you're not getting that because it's not part of the gameplay, rather than just being like, yeah, we can do that because it's just adding an extra keybind. And
well, it's always tough when it was there before, and then in a patch it takes it away. Like that way around's always tough, isn't it? Because there's going to be some freak out there that zooms in with rockets, for example. Are you able to share what the genres of two new games are, or any information about those, or are you keeping them hush hush? I know you mentioned they're FPS.
Yeah,
on
we just
Reddit.
make FPS games. We made an FPS engine. So we're not going to talk about it. I mean, this will be one of the last times I talk kind of publicly outside of just maybe the dev updates at the end of the months. Just because if you tell the community of like what you're working on, you just get asked a lot about what you're working on, and then it's like it's easier to say we're doing this. This is the next goal. So I kind of want to focus more on maybe Trello and just saying replays are planned, replays are delivered. Wipeout 2.0 finally is now on the list. Okay, Wipeout 2.0 delivered. Rather than taking questions, because I think a lot of people miss the information, take information out of context, or kind of it's not clear enough, the communication with us in the community. If I kind of openly talk on Discord or openly talk on a podcast like this, because there will be a clip from this that someone will get angry at, right? So it's better just to be like, hey,
No, that's fair enough. And you've mentioned mod support in the past. Obviously, the engine's flexible for mod support. Is that something you're planning on?
It depends how deep you mean mod support. I think Frog has better answers on where mod support can go, so I won't answer it. But of course, it's like there are triggers right now. You can do some stuff with survival. It's not like what some people considered modding. Obviously, it kind of is because you are making the game. You can type in commands, but it's like where it ends up. It's more about where Frog think it's best for it to end up to serve the community with his engine, right? So it's hard to answer that one.
Fair enough. That's fine. Someone's asking about advertising the game outside of the free game section on Epic Store. Will you upgrade the profile picture to include a picture of both shooting each other?
My
people are fixated on that profile picture.
I posted it in the public Discord, the picture of the two egg bots shooting each other, and people voted. They typed number 2. Yeah.
Well, be updated anytime that now then.
I've seen like 6 to 8 posts about that. It's unreal, dude. Reddit is just insane.
Sean, we need to do our Reddit episode one day. I think we need to both be extremely high / drunk and do a Reddit episode. So I'd love it.
I mean, we got into so many game suggestions this podcast. This was kind of the Reddit episode, let's be honest.
Yeah, but no, we really just went over you should change the game a lot, and also Jewel could be something even Jewel, which is traditionally never changed because it's sacred, right? Even these long time jewelers with a lot of notoriety are like, you could change Jewel, we don't give a fuck. Make it different. I'll play a different Jewel. So it's quite refreshing to hear that from the community. So
I was surprised to hear that.
There wasn't a massive amount of game design talk, which is obviously hard to do because you could talk for years, right? About until the point where you just got a different game, a new game. It shouldn't even be Diabotical because you pulled it so far. So I was happy with that conversation. Chill.
Someone lobbying for FraZe to get hired. That's not for me. That's good.
I don't think Too Good makes enough money to pay me what I'm making at work.
Yeah.
6 figures a month.
Oh my god, so we got Zorak and FraZe both on the 6-figure fucking meme. That's great.
I just want to be as successful as these guys one day.
It's hard.
You mentioned
At least your hair's probably a little bit.
What, my hair's what?
Maybe a little bit longer than mine.
Yeah, I got a lot of grey. Trust me. I am.
Really?
Are you as old as me, right? You're like 37, 35, 38?
Oh, come on, mate. I'm 28.
28?
I'm 28, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was
You're like 35.
Well, you look great for your age. It's the webcam. It's the webcam. It's and you're a day ahead of us in
yeah, that's true. It is middle of the afternoon now.
FraZe and I are the same age. It's fantastic.
I just know your name for so long in Quake. I just assumed everybody's in their 30s.
Hey,
I've heard of.
He was a young gun in Quake Live, mate. He was fucking.
Yeah, when I was playing in tournaments, I was like 21.
He had his whole life.
I was 19 in my first tournament.
Oh shit! How old are you, Zorak?
25.
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, you look a bit older as well, but not in a derogatory way. You're quite a well put together man. You're married now. Fuck me. I feel disgusted. One last one, James. Someone's asking about the Eggbot remodel. You mentioned about it being on the ground and the weapon in the arm and stuff.
It's a lot of work to kind of get that done, and also if we did that and change anything fundamentally with the Eggbot, we would have to then, if that was a permanent decision that we knew we were going to do, we would have to either make egg shells that fit the new Eggbot that the same design, or refund the coins that you had invested on those shells. it's kind of like the grenade launcher. Currently, it's not really in game, but it could be in game, and so we haven't made a permanent decision if it stays or goes. So that's why we haven't said hey, you used to own all those grenade launcher skins and you spent 500 coins or whatever. You can have your 500 coins back in your purse. So until we make a permanent decision, a proper decision on it, it's really hard to say if it's going to happen and when. And just because of the amount of work and also what it would involve, fundamentally kind of changing the game.
Yeah, it's probably a lot more work than people realize.
Yeah, but it's never not on the cards. But it's would you rather a kick-ass game mode that keeps you replaying, or the same game modes and the model rechange? Right, that will be a internal decision where it's well, the community want better, more fun game modes.
All right. Well, we've been going long. I'll just give the guys on the show an opportunity to ask or say a final piece as you're here, James. It's going to be
and
say one of your
sorry
last
by the way if I went into too many stories and talked a lot of shit. That's generally what I do. But hopefully people don't get angry at me for trying to make an arena FPS and do our best. Really, maybe it's not always good enough, but we are trying.
Well, people hate silence, so I think saying, even if you're someone who wasn't the biggest fan of what you've said on the show, at least it's something. But I'm sure there'll be other people that also might feel a bit more reassured. I know FraZe is fucking MVP of the chat, which is great to see. But I just want to a quick shout out to how fucking mad the time zones are to do this show. I got up at 5 a.m. to get ready for 6 a.m. to do this show. Press OK, the show started at 1 a.m. for him. ZorakWar, the show started at 10 p.m. for him. It's now nearly midnight for him, so he's looking very sleepy. FraZe got it pretty good. It was 2 p.m. for him, and he's off. So well done, FraZe. That's why, and it's summer where he is as well. So yeah, great one. Sean, or Press OK, sorry, is there anything you want to kind of say or sign off with involving James or Nah or what?
I mean, so James, you said you didn't want to go into upcoming game modes, upcoming games too much, or upcoming games. But I think on behalf of worse players like me, we're good at other games like Dota 2 or it's a kind of a lower mechanical skill ceiling game.
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give any breadcrumbs. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me just think about it. So
would it be easier for new players to play?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic. No, I think that was kind of expected, but it's nice to get.
I'm gonna make it even harder. I'm gonna make a harder game to master than Arena FPS.
We're gonna rethink the chess formula and put that.
Yeah, it's people are still playing chess. That's a hard game.
Zorak, anything from you, man? Thanks for coming back on. Is there anything you want to kind of sign off with or ask?
Thanks for having me. As far as I guess I'll be streaming the last test tournament series in North America next week, so check that out. I think there's a QLCTF league. I'll be playing in that, so I'll probably stream that. But yeah,
we'll have to get you and FraZe on another time, I think, to do the QL chat that I wanted to do. I wanted to go back and talk about some old war stories, but we went kind of long tonight, and it's now nearly 8 o'clock in the morning for me.
Yeah.
FraZe, man, it was so fucking cool to finally chat to you on here. Did you have fun? And is there anything else you want to declare or say before we sign off?
Nah, that's pretty much it. I was actually thinking I might start playing again, actually. It was getting me thinking about it. It's actually quite good. So,
look at that. It works.
I will, if anyone doesn't know, I do stream on Twitch, FraZeQL. Usually trying to help out new players or guys who are trying to get into duel or whatever, talking about what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Watching, so yeah, definitely check that out if you want to. In the coming weeks, I think I'm going back to work on Wednesday tomorrow, so I won't be back for a week. But I think the following swing, my missus is not going to be here, so it'll be man cave time.
Conditions perfect for streaming.
Like Uber Eats. It's going to be Uber Eats. It's going to be my 3 favorite things: golf, games, and junk food. So. Throwing a bit of porn as well while we're at it.
FraZe, I've got to tell you a little secret. Obviously, Steve and I have been chatting for a little while as well. He did send me a photo of you once, right, where you had a big fucking chocolate cake in front of you, and you were like chowing down on it like mid game.
While I was playing, yeah, it's quite funny. And I had all the junk food to the left there, like it was disgusting. That was like not the sort of Tinder profile pic because I don't think you were getting too much.
Nice one, man. And James, as the guest of honor for this one, anything more you want to say, or?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on. It was nice to have honest conversations with people that want more from the game. Again, I'm probably going to disappear a little bit and focus on work and not kind of talk so much publicly at the moment. Just really focus on the game. So obviously, when I do talk, I am quite open. So of course, it's quite easy to pull me out of context. I might tell some personal stories about how hard it was to get teams into esports and what it was like struggling to make the game, and why we want to decide on the company first and make sure we're safe, and obligations to employees. And maybe people will think it's stupid to say that, but I kind of honestly would try and speak my mind. But I'm just looking forward to where we go with the community. I hope there's a lot of great updates that people enjoy over the year. It would be nice if it was like not unrecognizable, but certainly some drastic changes, and see what kind of works. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, we look back at what we had in 2021. We're like, oh my God, we shipped that. That was shit. And then by hopefully the end, the end of 2020, it was, we look back at that, and then we look the next year and we're like, okay, now it feels better. So just hopefully we get some improvement, and just appreciate people sending us nice messages. There's, I get some personal messages, and some of the team do as well. And, when they see like a Reddit war and they send us some messages, and it does help. It's always nice. And yeah, the team appreciate it. And so hopefully we get more nice messages for doing cool shit.
Yeah, nice one.
And then we got to do 2v2 duel now as well. So it's got another fucking thing I've got to overpromise on and deliver somehow, while maintaining a game and making another one.
That's what we thrive on. If there's nothing else, there's no shortage of passion, whether it's for good or bad. There's it's a small group, but it's a passionate bunch, I suppose.
Not sure if it's a game or more of it's like a soap opera kind of thing.
Well,
I don't know what you call it. Drama.
Yeah.
Like the storyline of the company and the decision making, rather than actually playing the game sometimes.
No, that's fine. And the one final thing for me, I suppose, there's a tournament next weekend, and if you need a caster, I'm available. All right, see you later, everyone. I'm going to raid Yes More Lions, and off we go. This will be a big old raid, and thank you all for watching. It was a good fun show, and we'll see you next time.